All right, Rabbi, say good morning. Good morning. Let us begin. We are continuing Mesillas Yesharim in Perek Chav Vav, chapter 26, the Midas HaKidusha. Just remember again, yesterday's shiur that Ramchal pointed out to us in such a poignant fashion the fundamental distinction between Kedusha and Tara, and specifically in the area of Kedusha, the ability that when a person reaches this level of Kedusha, which is only achieved through this synergistic partnership between man and God, man exerting his effort, and then ultimately, again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu conferring upon him, the remainder of that process, a person is able to reach a level where everything is kadosh, even the material. Even the physical, again, is endowed with a heightened level of holiness. So he gives further examples of this. This is what Chazal says, Zichron Livracha, Kol HaMevi Daran L'Talmid Chacham, Kilu Hikriv Bikurim. Actually, a very beautiful Gemara. Whoever brings a gift to a Talmid Chacham, it's as if he's offered up Bikurim. Rabbi said, what does that mean? Chazal are trying to encourage gift giving to a Talmid Chacham. To say it's like you bring Bikurim. What's the pshat? So Rabbi said, on a very basic level, and Rachal's going to explain this. He says, well, actually, let's see. Sidichin Amru Yemali Granav Shetalmidei Chamim Yayin Bimkom Nusachim. Also another beautiful Gemara. So the Gemara says that contemporarily, in the absence of the ability to bring the sachim, wine libations, what should one do? Give wine to a Talmid Chacham. Incredible. Give wine to a Talmid Chacham, that's like Nisachim. So what does that mean? This doesn't mean that Talmidei Chachamim should be drawn after eating and drinking, right? Remember, again, this sounds like a shtickle gluttonous. So what's the pshat? He says, Sheimalu Gronam Kimalit Es HaGargon, Ela Inyanhu, Lefia Kavana, Shezacharti, Ki Talmidei Chachamim Akidoshim Darcheim B'chol Ma'aseyim. Because we'll say, what's a Talmid Chacham? Remember, in this context, the way that Ramchal is defining a Talmid Chacham is not simply someone who possesses knowledge. I will say, we know this as we go through life. The ability to acquire knowledge does not make you a Talmid Chacham. Anyone could acquire knowledge. Right? If you go ahead and you apply yourself to something and you study something and you review it, you'll acquire knowledge. But we also know acquiring knowledge does not make you a good person. There are many people who are in possession of a voluminous amount of knowledge, but suffer from a profound state of moral decay. So what's a Talmid Chacham? In this case, Talmid Chacham is someone, who has the knowledge, but also who has the accompanying midos, but also someone who has the accompanying, in this context, Kedusha. What's a Talmid Chacham? A Talmid Chacham is someone who has created this appropriate relationship between himself and the material. So that suddenly, again, the material world is not something which pushes him away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but rather, he's gotten to the level where the material actually brings him closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I will say that's the meaning of these Gemaras. So therefore the Gemara says, you give a Talmid Chacham a gift. You give a Talmid Chacham a gift. What is a Talmid Chacham going to do with that gift? So what is he going to do with it? He's going to use it as a vehicle, as a bridge in his relationship with Hashem. You give a Talmid Chacham wine, right? So that's why the Gemara says, give a Talmid Chacham a gift. It's like you're bringing Bikurim. I will say, what's Bikurim? Bikurim is one of the ways in which the farmer, a regular guy, takes the physical and uplifts it and utilizes it to create a bridge and a connection between himself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I will say, on a deeper level, right? So therefore, you give a gift to a Talmid Chacham. He's going to use that gift to create this heightened relationship. You give a Talmid Chacham wine, right? So what does the Gemara say? It's as if you're offering wine libations. When you offered wine libations, you're taking that which could be used for the most base activities, and now you're using it again, b'kedusha. You give a Talmid Chacham wine, a Talmid Chacham is going to use that wine again to facilitate and to enhance our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So beautiful. He goes on, he says, ki talmidei chachamim hakadoshim b'rachim v'chol ma'aseim. A Talmid Chacham is someone who is able to find Kedusha in everything that he does, including in the physical and the material. Hine, heim mamish kimikdash ukimizbeach. The Talmid Chacham himself is mamish like a Beis Hamikdash, mamish like a mizbeach. Why? Mipnei shashchina shora aleim kimo shahaisa shor v'mikdash mamish. Because the Shechina resides upon the Talmid Chacham, just as the Shechina resided in the Beis Hamikdash. V'hine hanikrav lahem. And therefore, one who gives something to the Talmid Chacham can nikrav al gabe hamizbeach. Ultimately, again, it's as if he's offering it up on the mizbeach, umilui gronam, and filling the literally it means the filling of the throat of the Talmid Chacham with wine. Tachas milui hasfalim is like filling the basins by the Beis Hamikdash itself. So I will say the point that Ramchal is making over here is not to encourage gift giving to Talmidei Chacham. I mean, it's nice, but what he's showing over here is what it means to actualize Kiddusha. And what it means to actualize Kiddusha is that suddenly, again, we're so used to thinking in the realm of Tara. And in the realm of Tara, I understand that materialism ultimately creates a wedge between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and man. So in the realm of Tara, what's my goal? My goal is to use as little of the material world as possible so as to heighten or to enhance or to bolster my relationship with Hashem. In the realm of Kiddusha, I'm introduced to this idea that if used appropriately, the material could actually serve as a bridge to Hashem, if used appropriately. So suddenly, I will say now, even in Kiddusha, it doesn't mean that I'm going to enjoy every single material thing, right? And it doesn't mean, again, we still have pre-shus, right? You still have other, so in other words, I'm not going to run after ever material pleasure, but that which I am going to utilize, I quickly come to understand could truly serve as a bridge between myself and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's bringing up the Talmid Chacham as the paradigmatic example of someone who is able to actualize this midah of Kiddusha. Ramchal goes on. He says, V'al derech zeh, and utilizing this approach, Ramchal writes, Kol tashmish sheishtamshu in divrei olam, acharei hayosam kivar devukim l'kedusha yisbarach, hine ilui v'yisron hu l'davar hahu shezach lios tashmish l'tzadik. So we'll say, now that Ramchal introduces something additional, which is absolutely beautiful. Ramchal says like this. He says, so now what we've seen is the Talmid Chacham has the ability to go ahead and utilize everything in this world, even the physical, to create a relationship with Hashem. Now that that's said, it turns out that the Talmid Chacham has the ability to actually lift up the physical. I'll say, what is this? In other words, so now that physicality, that materialism could be used to create a bridge, could be used to create a connection. So now every single time the Talmid Chacham utilizes something physical, he uplifts the physical item. I'm about to say, hear this? In other words, how do you look in general at something material? Is something material holy or unholy? What's the answer? Like most things in Judaism, right? It depends, right? What does it depend? It depends on how it's used. How it's used. If it's used to create a bridge to the divine, then it's holy. If it's used to create a distance, then it's unholy. So the Talmid Chacham, when he, by the way, we'll say, who's a Talmid Chacham? Any of us could be a Talmid Chacham, right? Again, if we master this art of Kiddusha, we too could fall into this level. Talmid Chacham, when he uses something physical, by definition, he is uplifting this item. So he gives an example of this. Ukvar eskiru zichron levracha ve'inyan avnei hamakom shelakach Yaakov v'sam merashosav ve'amar Yitzchak malamed sheniskaptzu kulan v'haisa kol achas omeres alai yaniach tzadik rosho. So we are familiar with this Rashi, right? Rashi in Parshas Vayetze. Remember again, Yaakov Avinu was running away from home because of the whole fallout with Esav. He falls asleep in a place called Beit El. He has a dream, right? Now remember again, the Torah discusses that before his dream, he took a stone and he put it by his head. It was a pillow. Rashi actually says it wasn't really a pillow. It was more like he was creating like a protection around his head from animals. Rashi records a medrash, and the medrash says the rocks were fighting with each other. The rocks were fighting. What was the fight the rocks were having? Right, the rocks were saying, Alai yaniach rosh shel tzadik. The tzaddik should put his head on me. This was the fight they were having. What's the Avi Yishayla? What's going on over here? I mean, the rocks are fighting. But I don't even understand what that actually means. Right? So the Ramchal says something so beautiful. He says, you know what it means? You see, the rocks, and I will say, if you think about it for just a moment, there's nothing more like chumri, nothing more material than a rock. Right? It's just all physicality. But yet the rock understood that if it got to support the head of the tzaddik, the rock itself was uplifted. The rock itself. So what Ramchal is using this as an example of, see, I will say, when we use the material world in the correct way, not only are we lifting ourselves up, but we are redeeming the material as well. The Ramban calls this Kiddush HaChomer, sanctification of the material. It's an incredible opportunity we have that when you use the material world in the right way, so suddenly I'm Kadosh, but the material, we'll say, by the way, you don't actually have to think so hard about this. What's the paradigmatic example of this? Paradigmatic example of this. Is your son? Right? Paradigmatic. So Kiddush, even simpler. I'm going to say it and say it's obvious. Karbanos. So I will say, think about this just a moment. You take an animal. The truth is, the most chumri material thing is an animal. Right? Because an animal is all physicality. Unlike man, which has the ability to speak, unlike man, which has an neshama. Okay, the Rambam brings down that an animal has a nefesh also, but an animal. And it's incredible. You take that animal, and what do? You say, Hare zu ola. Suddenly, what happens to that animal? We know what happens to that animal. It's kodesh. It's mamish kodesh. Kodesh. What do you mean it's kodesh? It's still the same sheep. It's not. Because now what you've done is you've taken that material item and now suddenly again you've used it for the sanctification of Hashem. And once that happens, Rabbi Osai, the entire identity of the material item changes. So it's not just the pshat that I change myself in the relationship with the material. I change the material. Rabbi Osai, isn't that a koach? Okay, do you understand? Rabbi Osai, sometimes you ever take a step back, maybe not at this hour in the morning. I'm trying not to fall forward, right, this hour in the morning. Right? But you ever take a step back and realize, like, I have a ridiculous amount of power in this world. A ridiculous amount of power. That here, what Ramchal is telling me is, I could take something that is material, and I could actually fundamentally change the status of it into something holy. As long as I'm utilizing it in the right way. And I will say, there's an incredible exercise to do in life, which is to kind of look at one's material life and just ask myself, how am I using these various things in a Kaddish way? Right? That's why I will say, that's why again in Yiddishkeit, you could have nice things. You could enjoy nice things. The only chap is make sure that what you have in life has the ability to be utilized as part of a higher calling. As long as you can do that, then by definition you could justify the enjoyment of the material in dramatic ways, as long as somehow, somewhere you're able to use it for some higher calling. He says, as you will say, we'll stop over here for today. We're just stopping a few lines early. We'll pick up tomorrow. It's Hashem at Klalo Shel Davar. Shkoyach, everyone.